Welcome, everyone. Happy Wednesday. This is Chris Gore. This is Hollywood on the Rocks. Film Threat on a Wednesday. That's right. Joining me very shortly will be co-host Alan Ng, who should have been with me at Anime Matsuri, quite frankly. I don't know why he wasn't there. Today, we're going to be talking about the future of the DC Cinematic Universe. Blue Beetle opens this weekend. We will have a non-spoiler and spoiler review on Friday. But for now, let's talk DC. In addition, we're going to be talking about a bunch of films, including Coraline, which was just re-released to theaters. Old Boy, if you have not heard of Old Boy, it is returning to theaters in an anniversary edition. Plus, director Brandon Loran Maxwell from the documentary American Homeboy will be joining us today. And a couple of rants and a couple of news stories. Lots to talk about. Let's get things started. It's Hollywood on the Rocks on a Wednesday. Alan is still not here. I'm stalling for time. Why is Alan not here? He should definitely... This is happening way more often than it should.
What can I get for you, sir?
A boob. At least one.
Great choice.
Alan! 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 Ow! Alan!
I knew when you said boob that was going to get clipped.
I didn't even say it. When you asked me what qualifies as nudity, then you put me big screen.
I knew it would get
Gave you what you wanted. That's all I could say.
I knew it would turn into a video, and there we are. It's a video of Alan saying the word. I always here's the thing that people miss. I love playing these videos because you don't know they're coming, and then seeing your face after.
What can I get for you, sir?
A boob. At least one.
Great choice.
Always you were giggling like a kid telling a dirty joke in junior high. That's pretty hilarious. So, but let's we got a lot to talk about today. And oddly, you and I both saw Coraline and we didn't even talk about it.
Yeah.
We just instinctively went to see it. So, but let's see who's in the chat before we get started talking movies today. Let's see. Solomon Thornton is here. I will never understand why DC Warner does not want Cavill, but is keeping Ezra and Gal. Also, another confusing thing. Didn't Gunn say he was going to reboot the franchise with new cast members? You know what? I'm going to put a pin in that, Solomon, because we're going to talk about that when we get into our DC conversation. I'm going to go for non-DC related comments now, but keep that up there. That's great. Lord Thought says, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and sign up as a member. Then join us on Discord. That's right. So we've been doing a lot of giveaways lately. I want to continue to do those because people really like them. I just feel bad I can only give away whatever number of codes that we have. So,
and we are on Rumble. We are streaming live.
We are streaming on Rumble. So thank you to those on Rumble. Alan Horkin says, cheers. Looking forward to the show and building Lego. Oh, that's fun.
Just the one?
Yeah. Yeah. And here we go. Is it true that Alan threatened Gary if he didn't hire back his daughter, X-Ray Girl? Was X-Ray Girl, did something happen?
Hi, Dad, I miss you.
What happened?
Yeah, I think she didn't have a proper degree, but now that they've lifted affirmative action, she can now go to a real college. She become a real doctor.
Okay, let's see. I keep saying it, but they just keep remaking stuff. So write something original, Hollywood. Ugh, says the nerd far away. And Sifax AJ says, hail Chris and Alan, looking forward to a good show. And then has a picture of what looks like it looks to me like an old fashioned, one of my favorite drinks. So there you go. Couple of, here we go. Mexican Iron Man member for 12 months.
Hey.
Oldest member. Ooh, look at me. It's my 1-year anniversary. Whoop, whoop. Thank you, Mexican Iron Man. Missed you at San Diego Comic-Con. Hope you'll be able to make it next year. We'll make it happen. And some more comments here before we get started. Toxic Waltz N8 says, I'm really bummed none of my local theaters are getting Old Boy 20th. Truly one of the few literal jaw-dropping films I've ever seen. We're going to get into it on Old Boy, but it has one of the darkest reveals. The only thing you could compare it to is Darth Vader saying, I am your father. He doesn't say.
But you're going to say 7 for a second there.
Yeah. Well, those are, 7 is the up there. If the darkest reveals in movies, I would say Old Boy has it, 7, and The Empire Strikes Back. And those are really hard to do. So, Willie the Monkey King's music says, hey, Chris Pimp Daddy Gore at Film Threat. Well, there you go. And Jordan Littlejohn. Hey, Jordan. We're just chatting with Jordan on Twitter. Had a blast in Houston. What do you think of Paul Rudd as Flash? I think that would work. He seems more Barry Allen than Ezra Miller, 100%.
That'd be super old.
Well, now a younger Paul Rudd would have been great. Maybe he could play, I don't know, classic old school Flash. I don't know. We'll get into it. One Punch Man Tolkien fan. I am excited to see Blue Beetle. I'm kind of like, my expectations are so low. It's probably going to be fun. Paulie from Latino Slant, our good friend Paulie, who's doing a special charity screening on Friday of Blue Beetle. He rented out a theater with 100 seats. He's giving tickets to students. He's packed the theater. I was invited, and Film Threat is actually sponsoring it, but I don't want to take someone's seat. I'll have already seen it. Give my seat up to someone who'd like to see the film who hasn't seen it yet. But I'm actually kind of excited. And they have probably one of the most, they do these things at AMC theaters. You can get a special popcorn bucket. Like
I've seen it. I've seen it.
You've seen the Blue Beetle one? It's a backpack.
Yeah, it's a backpack. It's a popcorn backpack. It's a backpack for your popcorn.
Well, what's wrong with that?
It's a stupid idea. It's $35 for one thing.
Right.
I mean, really, you're going to carry your popcorn in your backpack.
What if I want to? What if I'm going somewhere and my hands are full? I want to get a Blue Beetle back. I've bought the Batman one. I actually still have the Batman popcorn bucket. It's sitting right over here. I should put it in my background. I'm redoing. I got a Rodecaster finally and some proper mics. Next Wednesday, a week from today, we're going to test out my new system. And Alan will have a new system as well. We promised we'd upgrade after the trial. It's happening. Let's see. Sifak says she got fired on BBC when she streamed at the same time, lol. So she was streaming during real BBC? That's funny. I would laugh at that. She's not part of real BBC. That's Mahler, Gary, and Az. That's a different show.
I'm sorry, Asians can multitask.
Yeah, they can. Yeah. There you go. Couple of super chats here before we get things started. We're going to get things started pretty quick here. John Thomas for 5. I'd love to see Lord of the Rings in the theater, but instead of one per week, the trilogy in a day with a catered breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I'd pay $200 for that. They've done that, those marathons. Mm-hmm. I want to savor the movie. And I also want time to process. And what I did enjoy when the original Lord of the Rings trilogy came to theaters, it was one a year. It was crazy. They shot all the movies at one time, which is insanely ambitious. Then they were released 1 year apart. It was like Christmas every December, which is technically Christmas, but it felt more Christmassy whenever those movies came out because you had that time to like sort of savor it, discuss it, think about it, talk about it, see it again, speculate on how they might change it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, the big one was when Return of the King came out. That's when they would do the marathon leading up to the first performance of Return of the King. And remember, back in those days, it was all DVDs. So the only way to watch it outside of the theater was on your DVD player.
All right, a couple more super chats here. And thank you for that, John Thomas. Thank you for the 5. Ban Brindlebeard 3 for $4.99. Saw Coraline last night. Seeing Old Boy at the Frida. Thoughts on it? First of all, say hi to everybody at the Frida Cinema. Love them. Trevor and the gang. They are awesome. They have great selection of beers. They've even got like a margarita mixing machine. Great snacks and food. And the burger at Native Sun, which is the bar that's the rooftop bar on that corner. Awesome. We're going to talk about Coraline and Old Boy later in the show. We're going to talk about DC first. Yeah. So stick around.
By the way, I was going to say, I bet I saw Coraline at the same place you saw it, in Orange.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Well, okay. We're going to discuss it. We're getting ahead of the game here. So our Gentum says X-Ray Girl streamed Baldur's Gate over Real BBC yesterday. Well, she probably shouldn't stream at the same time. I'm very conscious of, like, when we picked when we were going to do the show, the Film Threat live streams, that they didn't conflict with other live streams that I actually watch on a regular basis. It literally had to do with my viewing schedule. Although we talked about doing a show called Monday Movie Talk, MMT. What do you think of that idea, Alan?
Yeah, we could do it at midnight.
Right, Monday Movie Talk at midnight.
Midnight, yeah.
MMTM.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to the point now where there's actually no more space left. There's no free space to stream, so you're gonna cross someone's stream at some point.
Yeah,
Ghostbusters.
All right. Thank you for that. Because I'm a nerd, I stream both Rumble and YouTube simultaneously, and I smash all the like buttons. Says the nerd far away. Wow, thank you for that. That's awesome. We appreciate it. Slayer 96 DA the second for 2. Aragorn is Numenorian white. I don't like race swap. Well, you're probably not going to like that Amazon series. So there you go. That's what she said. Says, what's in the box? What's in the box? And Paulie's event says, thank you for that. That was just T says that. T just says that. So, and Sifek says, Paulie's event will be pretty fun. That's awesome. And Imperfect says, does anyone know why AMC's stock tanked this week? I am guessing it's related to the strike. And if the strike is not resolved, there will be no product for 2024. Movies, the big tentpole movies, which drive people to the theaters, you know, the movies, the superhero movies like Barbie and Oppenheimer, those movies are going to be pushed back to 2025. That is my speculation. It's literally, I mean, all stock prices are driven by speculation on futures, and the future does not look bright for the entertainment industry if the strike is not resolved quickly.
Yeah, but from what I understand, I believe they're out of cash at the moment. Also, I believe they were going to do a stock split and they backed off of that, or it was the other way around. They weren't going to do one. Now they're going to do one. Not a business guy, but that's the latest news I've heard about AMC this week.
Cool. Well, before we talk DC stuff, I just want to say a thank you to everyone who was at Anime Matsuri. I met a ton of cool people, and nobody noticed that I stole a tweet from Critical Drinker. I'm going to zoom in on this. I literally just sort of took his tweet and made it my tweet. So I was at Anime Matsuri. I cut and pasted it. And then here are some of the pictures from Anime Matsuri. Super fun. Quarter Black Garrett and I shared a room. There's me with the drinker. He is a tall lad, a tall Scottish lad. There we are at dinner. Ashton Birdie, Camelot. There's Gary from Nerdrotic. I surprised Chrissy Mayer. She was very surprised to see me. So if you don't follow me on my personal social media, it's that Chris Gore. Just had a really great time at Anime Matsuri. So there's Cash, the smoking man. He's basically a human meme. Here we are. We all hung out like in the bar, and it was just great to like see people. I normally just like, you know, we do live streams together. We're just sort of online. And
by the way, wasn't that Lofty Pixels?
That was Lofty Pixels dressed as Ken. He is Cannot. The best thing for me there was I love refrigerators. Was the display they had of like Godzilla and Toho stuff. I kind of went nuts with it. There's Cecil crashed in the bed with a hangover. He was not looking good. But yeah, it was good times meeting people that, you know, I know online, but don't know hadn't ever met in real life. And it was a lot of fun. So wait, did I share the correct screen?
What were you talking about?
Did I share the correct screen here? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah. All right. Well, whatever. All right. We're good with that. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for that. Everyone was just super generous. I sold about 50 copies of Attack of the Doc on Blu-ray, which I signed, and it was super fun. Quick super chat here from Matthew Hammond for $4.99. Always appreciate your support, Matthew. Styx Hexenhammer 666 made a recommendation of an exploitation short film from 1992 on YouTube. It is one of his new tech exclusives where gays end feminists. Wait, that's real? Alan, can you look that up? Exploitation short film 1992. Styx and
we'll see how much. Yeah, if my internet.
All right, look it up. We're gonna do a trailer reaction real quick because it's only a minute. I have found the worst movie trailer that has ever existed. We're gonna I don't. Okay, it's from Wild Eye Releasing. Wait, did I have it in the thing? Do I have a little? Okay, we have to do this because I can't believe it exists. It's only 1 minute. It is only 1 minute long. You know, often you see people do trailer reactions and their reactions to something that is like, they've released like a ton of Ahsoka trailers and whatnot. This is okay. You're not even gonna believe that this exists. That's why I have to show it to you. It fits into, I used to call like certain movies I would discover, like, I can't believe that they made this. So I need to show this to you. And the movie is called Trashcans of Terror. This is going to be our live trailer reaction to this. You got to see it because it's one of those movies like where I'll see a movie, just the poster, and I'll say, I can't believe that this even got made. And I love movies like that. I live for movies like, I can't believe this film actually was birthed into existence. So I'm going to share a screen here. We're going to watch the trailer together. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's put out by Wild Eye Releasing. Look up this company, Wild Eye Releasing. They have a YouTube channel. They also have like an Instagram. They release exploitation movies unabashedly. Like one of their movies, I think it's called like Frankenbaby, like where there is a little person dressed like Frankenstein's monster that goes and terrorizes people. It's one of the dumbest movies I've ever seen. Along with a lot of their films, like when you see like The Shark Exorcist and stuff like that, like October Coast, Wild Eye Release. Wild Eye Releasing has the best movie posters of all time. In fact, they did a prototype movie poster for Film Threat Sucks, which I really appreciated. I love this company. Now, this movie, Trashcans of Terror, was made in the 90s. Believe it was the 90s. It was made on video. It's shot on video, and it was like a lost film. They've now released it. So, Alan, are you ready to experience Trashcans of Terror?
Let's do this.
Here we go. It's 1 minute and 4 seconds. Let's see if we get through it.
Already looks great.
Something's happened to her. An alien trash cans from another place somewhere out there have taken her prisoner.
What is she to you anyway?
I think I'm in love with her.
Nice to meet you, Spider.
Oh my God.
Have a couple raw eggs, please.
Oh my God. This is really violent.
They're killer trash cans, Alan. Oh my God.
No!
Never fought trash cans before. I'll tell you, they may not look like so much, but they're on the side. My instincts were telling me that I'd been followed. My instincts were perfect.
That was awful.
How is that the worst trailer you've ever seen?
It's okay. It's the worst trailer for possibly the worst movie that I've never seen. I have not seen the movie. I'm going to it, but I'm going to talk to them at Wild Eye Releasing to get a copy of this so we can discuss.
By the way, I would disagree. I think it's the greatest trailer because it presents exactly what is in the movie.
Well, it's at least very honest. It's accurate. Yeah. It looks like it was made when I was in college back in the 80s. I would make little projects and I would have 2 VCRs. You would edit with 2 VCRs, like pausing on the one and you run the clip and you get that kind of weird wave and the cheesy. You could actually put titling. And this looks like it was made with a VHS camcorder and 2 VCRs and a bunch of people with guns. I believe that the guns in this movie, those are real guns shooting real trash cans. Okay, here's why I like things like this. I want to defend myself for a minute. Why it's important to see great films. You should see, on the AFI list of the top 100 American movies, you should see all those movies. You should also see the worst movies ever made. Now, why is it important to see bad movies? Because it should inspire you to make a movie. When you see a trailer like that for a film, you have no excuse to not make your own movie. Alan, you have no excuse.
Yeah, you have a camera on your cell phone, and clearly you don't need a script to make your own movie.
Oh my God.
You just need a bunch of trash cans, a couple guns if you're in the right state. I mean, really.
Look, I love trauma films. And by the way, I'm excited that the new Toxic Avenger is going to be screening at Fantastic Fest in Austin, Texas, which I have passes for. And I'm thinking about going. Austin, Texas.
I'd love to go.
I'm thinking about going. Well, you could get passes.
Alamo Drafthouse runs that one, right?
Yeah, it's the Alamo Drafthouse. Anyway, so I watched trauma movies when I was a kid. Love the Toxic Avenger. Love, all the trauma stuff that's been released, all the different Toxic Avengers movies, Sergeant Kabuki Man, Poultrygeist. I mean, I could go on and on about trauma films, but trauma films compared to Trash Cans of Terror has production value. So there you go. Look, to me, the lesson from every bad movie the lesson you take away from a bad film is that you can make a film and you should study it and think, well, how can I do Trash Cans of Terror better? How would I anthropomorphize trash cans? This is the opportunity. That's the problem. Sometimes when you pick apart, big Hollywood movies, you're not going to be able to, at an indie level, make a movie at a Hollywood level. But I guarantee anyone in our chat currently could do a better version of Trash Cans of Terror. I guarantee you.
Yeah, here, let me show you one that we just posted on the Film Threat website.
Is this is a review? By the
Not
way,
a review. It's a spotlight. Okay. I've only seen part of the movie.
Okay, but wait a sec. I have a complaint about the Film Threat website. I have a complaint about it. We have too many ads. It's bugging me, and we don't actually make all that much money on the ads. I mean, it pays some bills, but I'm looking. I'm like, it's annoying to read it. So I got an email from somebody complaining, and I just said, I agree with you. I'm going to talk. I have a meeting tomorrow about this where I just gonna say, please, can you stop? So everyone who visit filmthreat.com, please, but use an ad blocker, or don't use an ad blocker, but just, it's annoying. So what is this?
Or better yet, deal with it and maybe click through an ad or two.
Right. But tell me about this movie. Tell me about this movie, Maid.
Yeah, I've only seen a bit of it. Michael Talbot Haynes wrote the review. But speaking of indie films, this is a very low budget. It's Maid, Droid, and it's about a service that provides robotic maids, an android here. And the plot's very simple. She comes to your house she cleans your house, and then she has sex with you. And that's pretty much what the movie is. So,
Oh my God!
yeah.
Well, click.
And yes, there is nudity, and so far I've counted 4 boobs.
Well, it already gets points for that. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it depends. Nudity for me, like the nudity in Oppenheimer, I thought was distracting. I don't think you needed it. I honestly needed it.
I was not distracted at all. Sorry, I think I have finer taste when it comes to boobs.
Well, there you go. Chef's kiss on that. But yeah, you see, if you click through to the review, you'll be able to read the review, but with like 50 ads popping in your face. I'm pissed about this.
Here's one coming up here.
One is popping up. They're all popping up. They're on the side. They're in the middle. It's annoying.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, because we have the YouTube channel here, and then we got the picture from the movie, and then and then we got the side
confusing.
Thing here.
All right,
and then the side ads we can.
So, do you recommend this movie? Did it get a good review from Michael? Did it get a good review?
Yeah. I mean, Michael likes everything, but look, yeah, it got a good review, and again, it's got nudity in it. So
nudity is not. I mean, Alan, please, because I mean, you know what you.
What can I get for you, sir?
A boob, at least one.
Great choice.
Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah, clearly my wife does not watch the Film Threat live stream.
Thank God she doesn't watch the live streams. I would be in trouble. So, but let's talk about our main topic for today on Hollywood on the Rocks, and that is Superman versus Superman and the future of DC movies. Blue Beetle is opening this weekend, on Friday. On our Friday live stream, we will talk spoiler and non-spoiler reviews. But it has been said by James Gunn himself that Blue Beetle will be a character in the future of DC. Additionally, we have seen articles that are a bit confusing about the future of Wonder Woman. Is Gal Gadot playing Wonder Woman, or is she not playing Wonder Woman? We don't know. There are conflicting reports about that. And my feeling is part of the conflicting reports is a lot of it is BS. Until James Gunn himself comes out with an announcement, I don't believe anything. But here's what I'll also say about that. I think that the failure of the recent DC films to be released, let's discuss Black Adam, which featured a confusing post-credit scene with Henry Cavill. Well, what's that setting up? Nothing, apparently. Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, tanked. Black Adam did the best of them, but not that great. The Flash came out, and The Flash is one of the biggest box office flops of all time. Now, this is all pre-James Gunn, okay? But now we have Blue Beetle coming out, also under the shadow of some bad publicity related to the director, who has made who I would just describe as comments that could be construed as political bigotry. I think when you vilify half the country based on their political allegiances, maybe not the best thing for someone who works in entertainment. Just a thought.
You also have a trailer that references Batman.
And again, we dispelled that quote about Batman being a fascist is from the crazy uncle.
Right, but still no context and just presented out there as part of the premiere trailer for the movie.
Right. I mean, look, all I'm saying is that I do think that we can confidently say that the era of superhero movies, you cannot just release anything. You can't just take an obscure character and throw it out there, because I think that superhero fatigue, we can debate about it, and I'm interested to hear your comments. We can debate. I think superhero fatigue is real. You can't, and by that I mean, like, I think that actually Blue Beetle will probably be very good. the lead actor, what's his name? Sholo. He is the lead from Cobra Kai, which I think is that Netflix series is one of the best original Netflix series to come out. And the lead actor is extremely likable. Just a likable, he in addition to the legacy characters, and they actually honor the legacy characters in Cobra Kai, of course, from the Karate Kid series. But this actor, did you look up the last name?
Yes.
What is it?
Once I saw it, it would be
You
difficult.
just looked it up, Alan.
I know.
All I'm saying is, my theory is that I think the movie could be, in fact, very good. Paulie from Latino Slant. It's Xolo Maridueña. Maridueña. I took 2 years of Spanish in college. I can at least pronounce Xolo Maridueña. I think Maridueña. The D is pronounced like a TH sometimes there.
Yeah, and you're showing why I didn't want to say the name.
Yeah. Say it, Alan. And then George Lopez is in it. He plays the Rudy Reyes, and he's basically the uncle who's kind of the crazy conspiracy theorist uncle, which is the result of that line. It's currently 7 out of 10 on IMDb in the rating. That's going to change. It is concerning that the first press screenings of this film only took place on Monday. They did some more press screenings on Tuesday. I'm seeing it tomorrow as well as you. The budget for this one, relatively low compared to previous DC outings, $120 million. But you've got Black Adam underperform, Shazam 2 tank, Flash tank, Blue Beetle. We shall see, but the estimates for this are not great. We're looking at around 30 million. And
by the way, it's 85% on Rotten Tomatoes, 67 reviews, and it is currently not certified fresh yet.
Wait a sec. So, is it? Are those audience reviews? Is that the audience score?
No, those are critic reviews. I think literally a handful of top critics have reviewed it so far. The rest are, only need the early access crowd who got in to see it early.
Right. So, but they're seeing it the week of. There's no big premiere because actors are on strike. Any press for this is being done by the director. I saw an interview with Angel Manuel Soto on the IMAX channel, about a 15-minute interview. He didn't say anything all that interesting. I expected a little bit more, but he avoided discussing any controversy, which is probably wise at this point. My feeling is this movie could, in fact, be a very good film, and Xolo, I'm sure, has done a very good job. If he's even just as good as he is in the Cobra Kai series, I'll bet it's decent, and I'll bet it's entertaining. But even with all of that, meaning you could release a less than spectacular superhero film. I'll give you a good example. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel might be among the worst of all the Marvel films, but made over $1 billion. Why? It was in the glow of Infinity War. Right? It was the glow, in that glow, and it connected directly to Infinity War. The cliffhanger scene, the post-credit scene, led directly to Captain Marvel. We need to know what happens. I don't think that anything the DC, obviously nothing leads to anything. The Superman scene at the end of Black Adam, meaningless. The scene at the end with Wonder Woman, we don't even know if Gal Gadot will continue to play that character. We know she's the evil queen in Snow White, a completely different topic. But I think that the superhero fatigue is, unless it's a huge recognizable hero like a Superman, I don't know that audiences are going to care about the lesser known characters. Even Blue Beetle, who I remember from the 80s, which was a different character altogether, was like, fun read every once in a while. He's got gadgets. I always felt he was kind of like a Batman type. They changed the origin, and it kind of looks some more like Guyver to me, if you're familiar with the Guyver series. But I just think all you need is one good Superman movie, and they lost all momentum by sidelining Henry Cavill. It will be looked upon as one of the biggest mistakes that they could have made. Despite, I don't know what the behind the scenes were. You know what? If he was a diva, the fans loved him. It wouldn't matter. And maybe he earned that right to have a little bit of an impact on the story. We saw Henry Cavill get sidelined in The Witcher. And I don't understand, because it's not as if actors expressing their opinion about the character they play, that's not new. Harrison Ford pushed back many times against George Lucas during the filming of Star Wars, and even shut down production for a day, which cost a lot of money, on The Empire Strikes Back, when he was told to say the line, "I love you too," to Princess Leia when she said, "I love you," as he was about to go into carbonite. He said, "My character would never say that." They stopped shooting that day, spent half a day kind of thinking about it, came up with a different line saying, "I know," and George Lucas thought it was terrible. He put it in the cut anyways. He said everyone laughed. And even at that screening, when everyone laughed, he leaned over and said, "See, the audience didn't like it. They didn't take it that seriously." Now it is a classic line in cinema. And if this is the reason that Henry Cavill was sidelined, I say ridiculous. You know, we have different Batman. The Robert Pattinson Batman 2 is moving forward. Okay, fine. There will be a new Batman in a Batman family movie, apparently, that has been announced. So two Batmen can coexist, but maybe two Supermen, no? Why? Alan, I want to get your thoughts on all this before we go to the audience. But I think that here's to bring it all home for a second. Colossal mistake to get rid of Henry Cavill. Not original thought here. But I think that Gunn is going to face pressure from the powers that be at Warner Brothers, specifically because of strike-related issues, because these movies are tank after tank after tank, and we haven't even talked about Aquaman 2 with Amber Heard. Aquaman 2 has been reportedly a mess behind the scenes. Aquaman 2. Are we keeping Jason Momoa as Arthur Curry? What characters? The audience is confused, especially when you get into the multiverse. Was your opportunity to just hard reboot, and maybe you sunset the Snyderverse. Maybe all the events of the Snyderverse just happened in a different universe, which could be revisited at some point. And then you've got what Gunn is creating. I think that Gunn, and you're gonna hear this before the end of the year, he is going to have to make an announcement based on these failures. He will have to announce that his slate of projects probably going to change. It's probably going to change. I do think we're going to get this Superman movie, but I think that a lot of these side projects with things like The Authority, maybe not banking on lesser known properties. And Blue Beetle, whatever you say about it, it's a lesser known property. But my expectations are so low, I'm going to guess it'll be pretty fun at the end. But we're looking at this might be another reboot where Gunn is going to have to say, you know, all those things I announced on Twitter and social media, scrap that. Here's what's happening. So there you go. Alan, what are your thoughts on all this before we go to everyone in the chat? Because I know people are very passionate about this. And you know what? The sidelining and the public humiliation of Henry Cavill cannot be understated. And the new actor that's playing Superman, I think it could in fact be very good, but it's not Henry Cavill. Alan, your thoughts?
Okay, so here's the thought. James Gunn, again, is James Gunn a failure? He is still shepherding. He is still promoting projects he had nothing to do with, and I think that's the problem. And I think, Chris, you brought it up. I think the wisest thing to do, if I were James Gunn, if I were David Zaslav, I would just say, scrap whatever plans you had for this DCU and just start making good movies. Okay, you have Superman Legacy. Work on that and make sure it is a great movie. Make sure it is a hit. And I'll say this again. James Gunn in the last several years, he's the only one that I can think of. I think Spider-Man and Guardians are the only Marvel movies to make money. But the thing is, I think with the strike, with everything being shut down, with no plan, no idea of what's going to happen, it's best just to make movies and forget about trying to build a broad universe. You don't have to do these other small projects. They don't have to be connected. They just need to be good movies shepherded by good people. And when you try to force in other properties and other movies to tell your story, you're just going to dilute what you have. Just make a good movie. So you can make Superman Legacy, and you can also make a Superman movie with Henry Cavill. I don't think that's ever going to happen. I don't necessarily believe that. My understanding about the Gal Gadot rumor was that it was just that rumor. They talked. She felt optimistic about it, and then they just, from what I heard, it said it's not going to happen. And maybe, you can, my suggestion is cut bait, make good movies. Look, if we would ever take a step back, make a Henry Cavill Superman, but I seriously doubt that will happen. I think there's just too much bad blood going on. I think superhero fatigue is definitely there, but at the same time, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse made $600 million. From what I understand, $150 million movie. The only good thing about Blue Beetle right now is the fact that they made it for $120 million, and maybe there's something to having these smaller budgets, having constraints when it comes to telling your stories, rather than doing what Disney does and just throw money at filmmakers to keep making, remaking, reshooting, and redoing every single scene in their movies. You've got to rein in this money being spent, and you just got to focus on good storytelling. What I would love to see Marvel do next is tell a straightforward X-Men movie. Cast people who look like the actual characters. Tell the story of the school and this battle between Professor X and Magneto. Just start there and then build from that. Then kind of go off. But they're not going to do it. They're going to royally screw up Fantastic Four. Sorry to get into Marvel, but you just see the tea leaves, because there's no indication, especially at Marvel Disney, that lessons are being learned. There's just no indication of that. So that's my thought. Just cut bait. Forget your big plans. Make good movies.
The thing is this: we never really got, and maybe it was because the tone that Zack Snyder shows is a very dark tone, kind of a an examination of superheroes, and what if Superman was real? He would not have been. I hated Man of Steel. Sorry about that, but Man of Steel is aged better over time for me. Initially, I was kind of shocked by it, but I've grown to really appreciate that film. In addition to the score, it was trying to do something different, which I appreciate. And looking back, it actually holds up better than you think. The problem is we never got to the Superman that we would like to see, which is filled with optimism, filled with a positive message about hope. If this symbol means hope, show me hope. Show me hope and inspiration. There was one of the things about the tone in Man of Steel, which if I could talk about for a second, we fully expected. There's a scene where a character named Jenny, who was worked with Perry White at the Daily Planet, is trapped somewhere. They're trying to save her. You would expect Superman to swoop down and save her. Well, Perry White actually saved her. And I guess my understanding is the idea that was attempted to be expressed there was that Superman inspired people to help others, inspired people to be a better version of themselves, rather than waiting for Superman. There's actually a very good documentary called Waiting for Superman. So don't get confused about that. But waiting for Superman is like, I'm going to wait for Superman to save me. Well, the message is, guess what? Superman might not save you. you have to save yourself. That's kind of a harsh message.
Yeah.
It's almost like a message of that. I hate to say this as a parent, that I try to impart upon my kids is, my goal as a parent, my job as a parent is to give you the tools so that you can survive without me, without my help in the world, without my advice, without my financial assistance. I am trying to train you to be here and exist in the world and be a success all on your own without my help, because I will not always be in your life. And that's a hard message that every parent kind of has to grapple with. That's kind of what the movie is saying. But I want it.
Yeah, but that's not a superhero movie. A superhero movie should inspire. You should feel inspired by the end of the movie to do good, to fight for truth, justice, and the American way, and not get a slap in the face of reality.
Well, there's a really good movie that does that. It's called Superman the Movie from 1978, directed by Richard Donner, and it still exists. But no one has topped that movie. That feeling that you.
The first Wonder Woman movie. I was at a Q&A with Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot for that movie, and Patty Jenkins went up and just said, "I wanted to recreate a Richard Donner movie," and that's what she made with Wonder Woman.
That's what
she didn't like the tone of Zack Snyder, so she went with Richard Donner.
Well, I'll say that even Chris Nolan, when he was approaching Batman with Batman Begins, he admitted, I was trying to repeat what Richard Donner did with Superman in 1978. And if you get the boxed set, the Blu-ray box set of the Dark Knight trilogy, there's a 1-hour interview, more of a conversation between Christopher Nolan and Richard Donner. He actually invited him to have a conversation because and they're very different films, Batman Begins, very different than the original Superman. But that's what he was trying to emulate, is really show real world, how would Batman exist in reality. And I love Batman Begins. I love that film. That's in top tier superhero movies ever made. But I feel like because of the current marketplace, because of a string of bombs that they have to release, they'd be better off. Aquaman 2 should just be some sort of Elseworlds. Release Aquaman 2 on Max. No one will complain. You know what? Keep Amber Heard in it. Whatever. Don't stop spending money on it.
I would do what they did with Flash. Stop spending money on it. Just release it.
Right. Do what they obviously did with Flash. Like, we have no more money for special effects.
Tell you what, don't advertise it. Don't advertise it. Don't put out commercials. Just throw it in the theater. Stop spending money on this thing.
Look, if these special effects are good enough for a PlayStation 3 video game, they're good enough for this movie. Yeah, if The Flash was released on Max, I think people would be, well, they'd be a little pissed off, but they'd be like, oh, I can see why you did that. Mm-hmm. So, and Ezra Miller will never play that character again. I just think that he's one of the reasons that the movie failed. But bottom line is, I think you're going to see another pivot for DC. And what James Gunn announced is going to be retooled. All you need is and Zack Snyder understood this. All you need is Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. You can have all these side characters, but you need that trio, the Trinity. You need that trio rooted in your universe. You need them to be able to interact, and then everything feeds off those characters. That is the way it is in the comic books.
Well, that's what they did with the Avengers.
Right.
They built the foundation of the Avengers with the original guys, and then they started bringing in the side characters, and that's what made Infinity War such a great movie.
Right. Yeah. So I think until if James Gunn is focused on, we're going to do a Batman movie and a Superman movie and a Wonder Woman movie, then we're going to have a movie where they're all together called Justice League. That was Zack Snyder's plan. He was on the way to making it, and they cut him off at the knees before he could finish. And say what you want about the Snyder cut. I think you could cut a great 3-hour version of that film, 3-hour version of that movie.
Well, no, they needed a Cyborg movie, by the way. They could have just pulled all that out and made a Cyborg movie.
Well, Cyborg is a better character in the Snyder cut. His character is actually filled out instead of rushed. That Joss Whedon Justice League is an abomination and should never have been done. It just shows you that so many of these executives have no clue what they're talking about. No clue.
We disagree on that.
They
disagree on that one.
Well, some of them.
Snyder cut was just way too long, and it was just all backstory.
It's 4 hours.
And it's all oh god!
A 3 hour. Some ambitious look. If you're learning editing software, someone cut a 3 hour version of the Snyder cut. Call it whatever. Call it the Ng cut. You could call it.
No, that movie wouldn't exist if I were in charge of it.
Bottom line is, expect more changes in the DC cinematic universe. It's going to get another retool.
I think change will be a good sign. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Let's go to your comments and questions, starting with, we have some super chats here. I'm going to start with the super chats and we're going to go through because a lot of conversations here, a lot of really good comments and questions. We may not, hopefully we'll get to Old Boy and Coraline. We have a guest coming on at 2:30. We'll see. There we go, Alan. Comments and questions.
Yeah,
super chat here from Derek Rosenfeld. Hey, good to see you here for 5. Cavill was great, but he never played Clark Kent, which is more of a fault of Snyder and the screenwriters. I agree with you on that. Yep. We never got full. He didn't become that yet. It was Man of Steel was like this origin. Then he was thrust into a fight with Batman. That too soon. The fight with Batman happens 10 years down the line. You know, it didn't make a lot of sense. And the Martha thing was kind of weird. Shuxy is a member for 12 months. Chris, I saw you in Star Trek Continues yesterday. Oh, I remember that. I got to go to Atlanta and be in it. So yes, look on YouTube.
You know which episode it is?
Star Trek Continues. What's that?
Do you know which episode that is?
It's like the 3rd or 4th one.
Okay.
I love Star Trek Continues with Vic Mignogna. Look it up. Here we go, says AJ Matheson for 10. A one-off Cavill Latter-day Soups movie where he deals with a city-level threat and gets to be a good hero would be huge. Cavill gets his send-off. Gunn gets his chance to reboot. Win-win. Yeah, you should be an executive at a movie studio, AJ. It's so obvious to me. Like, just have him be, you know what you could do? You could give him gray temples, and have him be like a Kingdom Come version of Superman, where it's like somewhere in the far future. You could imply that they were other villains. You will never get to Mr. Mixoplex. We're never going to get Mr. Mix. Who should play Mr. Mixoplex?
Peter Dinklage.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, but look, Warner Brothers Discovery needs money and needs it badly. And the only way to do that is make a good movie. Make a movie that people will see. I don't know why why studios are shunning this simple advice. Make a movie that audiences want to see.
Cloaksy says Rumble FT channel is easy enough to find, but not shared anywhere yet, it seems. Yeah, I wish they shared it. But we stream everything on Rumble. Another from Rumble, Lord Shax, says to Alan, Disney Marvel didn't make a broad universe. They made a universe of broads. I don't expect much more from DC. Well, I think DC looks at least to be like, just have it be even. Mm-hmm. I love female superhero. I love male superhero. How about some equality? Thank you for that, Lord Shax. Pirate Queen says modern directors don't understand Superman. They don't get the optimism of the character. I think that is due to an erosion of morality in society. People don't understand, in particular people in Hollywood, don't understand what being a good person means. You know who understands that? People in the Midwest, people in the South, blue collar workers. Who's that guy whose folk song has blown up? Have you heard that folk song?
I've not heard. I know who you're talking about, I know what you are talking about.
Spacing on the name, I heard that song. That's the kind of music we need now. It's the kind of music that musicians used to call out politicians. They used to call out things like war for money. They used to call that stuff out in the 60s. The 60s did protests right.
Mhm.
The protest now is like, listen to your government. Yeah, not for me, folks. But a sense of, and Hollywood used to champion blue collar workers. They won't even consider making a movie like Norma Ray. Look back at movies from the 70s. They all championed the blue collar worker. And now blue collar workers are vilified and mocked. And there's no sympathy for them. You want to see why their voice is not heard. That's why it's rich men north of Richmond, I think is the song. And I'm sorry I don't know the name, but I watched the video and thought it's tapped into the zeitgeist. This is what, no matter how much this is the thing that gives me some optimism. No matter how much Hollywood and the mainstream media try to push certain things, do you know why they don't resonate? Because the majority of people, it doesn't resonate in their hearts or in their minds. And if you want to win over hearts and minds, you're not going to do it with the way that Hollywood has been pushing things or vilifying the audience. But you're right, Pirate Queen. Superman is this, Luke Skywalker. Why is Luke Skywalker one of the most optimistic characters in the Star Wars universe? And they didn't understand it. And they made a change in the character that happened off screen that was never fully explained, and then diminished him and elevated another character who took the name of Skywalker for no reason that makes any sense whatsoever. None. Why did she take that name? Explain it to me. Dumb. Yeah. Oh,
by the way,
God.
I say remake Norma Ray with Billy Porter in the lead.
Yeah, with thigh-high boots and a dress. MK Solid 82 for $4.99. The new Superman actor is 6'4", just like Christopher Reeve. And the new Lois Lane is a really hot brunette again. All they need is a good movie. Well, the problem with James Gunn is, one, he needs to make a movie that isn't a James Gunn movie. He needs to make a movie that serves the audience first and not his personal interests. A. B. It needs to be focused on Superman and not his sort of like fetish for obscure characters that nobody knows. Just keep it focused on Superman and familiarity. And 2, we don't need 9 third acts in a third act that goes on forever. This is now like a trend. And most guilty of that is James Gunn. I hope James Gunn sees this or gets word. All of his movies suffer from the third act has 5 acts in the third act. All we need is 1 third act. We don't need a 2-hour and 30-minute or a 2-hour and 2-hour movie is good. That will be popular.
Yeah. But the thing is, with the exception of Spider-Man, James Gunn movies made money.
Yeah.
I mean, we could, it's like we're criticizing him for something he hasn't done yet. And like I said, I'm waiting for him to actually fail before I criticize him for failing.
Let's see. Jericho Leon is a member for 5 months. It says, long live Film Threat and its Discord family. Yes. Well, thank you for that. And thank you for being a member. I've got a really cool giveaway that's going to be coming up. That's a members only giveaway. I'll probably announce it on Friday. Buford T. Justice for $1999. So James Gunn is a decent filmmaker. Hardcore agree. You have a much higher opinion of his work than I do, but he has proven over this short amount of time that he isn't a capable leader. The lead of Blue Beetle is an insufferable SJW. I haven't noticed that. I tend to ignore when there's like controversy that breaks over actors saying stupid things. You mean an actor said a stupid thing? That's a YouTube channel. That is a cable channel.
So you're saying an actor said something that wasn't written for them?
Yeah, they're stupid. I don't pay any attention. Thank you, Buford T. Justice.
And again, this is not Blue Beetle. It was not shepherded by James Gunn. It was given to him, and as the good leader that he is, he has to promote these movies as the greatest movies ever made. That's his job.
Jesse Bedwell for 2. I'll wait till Hollywood puts $500 million behind. Alan, go ahead and say it.
Tower of Terror.
I was gonna say Tower of Terror. What is that, Tot? Come
I have
on,
no idea. TOT,
TOT.
not Teen Titans.
Something. Anyways,
Yeah.
thank you, Jesse. Amanda Nowicki. Hey, Amanda. Good to see you. I met Amanda and her husband in Houston. It was great. It's great to meet like people in the chat face to face. And she says, it was a blast meeting you at Anime Matsuri. Thanks again for signing my copy of Attack of the Doc. Did you see the props for the new Godzilla movie? I did. It looks great. Cannot wait for that. I didn't get to explore the con all that much, but I went right for that booth with the Godzilla stuff. But it was great to meet you. We're going to be doing more meetups. Hopefully a meetup. I'm going to announce it. I will be at Dragon Con in Atlanta, Georgia, Labor Day weekend. I will be there, and I will arrange and announce a meetup at Dragon Con. I will be dressed in a shirt that looks exactly like the Marriott carpet. If you know, you know. So there you go. Robert for 2. Chris, don't forget the Crying Game reveal. Oh my God, that might be one of the best in terms of like a shocking movie-related reveal. Yeah,
the man, baby.
Maybe that's an article or an article or a video that we should do on the most shocking reveals in movies. So there you are. I do want to talk about Coraline and.
Hey, by the way, one thing. Someone's bringing up Suicide Squad as a failure, and just a reminder that was a COVID release. It was in theaters and on Max at the same time. So I'm we gotta at least consider that. And TOT refers to trash cans of terror.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. You mean the trailer that we watched?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
No, we're abbreviating the indie film.
I just like abbreviations always like TBH. What is TBH? To be honest, I mean, like, look, I'll figure it out sometimes, but like I don't type those ever. Like if I'm messaging someone, I never use those kind of abbreviations. I rarely say lol, and I'll occasionally use an emoji, but I always feel dumb when I do it. Like,
and I will spell out RU.
Yeah, I will spell out RU. I don't know. I'm old school, man.
Yeah.
More of your comments here, and we're going to start from the top. Solomon Thornton, I will never understand why DC Warner does not want Cavill, but is keeping Ezra and Gal. Also, another confusing thing. Didn't Gunn say he was going to reboot the franchise with new cast members? Now it's like he's backpedaling, and we don't. I actually don't know.
I think he should.
I think he should. I don't know, and I think it's going to be confusing for the audience. And is there going to be a post-credit scene on Blue Beetle? We'll find out.
Maybe. I will say, I think Cavill is just too old to build a franchise, Superman franchise from here on out. And Gal, I believe, is a no-go.
Right. Daniel says James Gunn has proven himself to be a liar by firing Cavill and Affleck and keeping everyone else. He's burned the bridge before it was even crossed. I don't understand the reason for that. Davina Duckworth, I, for one, welcome the new gay Superman. There you go. Lord Thoth, the newbie does look like Superman. Yeah, the picture, he does have the look.
So far, so good. I mean, that's all you can really say right now.
Hey, you know what? He's a white guy. New Superman definitely has the hair down. Hope he gets time to bulk up to fill out the suit, says Spidey Sensei 72. Toxic Waltz N8. I read that South Korean president in 1999 or so made it a point to invest in entertainment 20 plus years later. That sure is paying off. Hint, hint for American films. Yeah, their Korean movies and television shows extremely popular. There's one on Netflix I would recommend. Korean horror is like a genre unto itself, but there's a Korean lawyer show called Extraordinary Attorney Woo that I think is fantastic. Very good. Jericho Leon, the only reason why Blue Beetle will be successful is because lesser knowing people will mistake it for a Spider-Man spinoff. Oh, I don't know if they will, but MK Solid 82, Chris, the new Superman actor is 6'4", same as Christopher Reeves. And the new Lois Lane is so hot. Amy Adams was such a bizarre casting, just like Jesse Eisenberg as Luthor. Yeah, I think that, thank you, MK Solid 82. I think he's going for more classic. Here's what they look like in the comics and movies.
Which is what they should have been doing in the first place.
Right. Hey, a couple from Rumble here. Lord Shack says that trailer is better than anything Disney has made recently. Trash Cans of Terror, baby. And Lord Shack says on Trash Cans of Terror looks like it's like a mediocre good food truck taco. It's good while you're eating it, but later on you'll find yourself asking why. Tumbleweed. Blue Beetle feels like CW trash. It kind of has that vibe. All of a sudden, these superheroes need a team behind them. They can't do anything themselves. By the trailer, they gear up the family with weapons, so it's Shazam fam. Here's my problem with the Blue Beetle thing. It's another superhero origin for someone who just found something and then became a superhero. I found this thing, this beetle in a hamburger thing. I found it. Now I'm a hero. I found a ring from a dying alien. I found a set of bracelets
in the mailbox.
Shang-Chi and Ms. Marvel. I found them. I found this. Now I'm a hero. That's not an origin.
Shang-Chi had a dynasty behind him. I'll let that one go. It's the Ms. Marvel one that kind of.
The Ms. Marvel one is stupid. Look what came in the mail. Some superpower bracelets. I guess I'm a superhero now. So I think that's a lazy origin. I think what I like is like an origin like Superman or Batman or even Wonder Woman. Like they didn't.
Spider-Man.
None of those characters became superheroes overnight. And even though Peter Parker was imbued with those powers, reluctantly, he didn't ask. He wasn't a hero. At the beginning, he was kind of a heel. He was kind of a heel who, was going to use his powers to be a wrestler to make money. He saw it as a money-making thing. It was only after his uncle. Yeah, Andrew S., greatest American hero, did the found thing well. Yeah, very.
Yeah, but they played into that. The fact that it was a found thing was the whole point of the show.
And he didn't have the instructions, so he didn't know how to use the powers. So he was kind of a failure. You're right about that, Andrew. Yeah. Great comment. Alan is really talking up a storm here. I love to talk to Alan. Yeah. I love it. I love it when I don't have to talk and Alan could just review a movie and I can listen live to an Alan review. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's fun.
Yeah. Everyone loves the way I describe plots of movies. So I'm here for you.
No, I think it's fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it. Like, do you remember this review? Do you remember this one? Wait a second. Give me a second.
Yeah, it was like it was yesterday.
No, just give me look. Let me look at this. I'm going to hide this comment here for a second. I'm going to take that off the screen. There's a review that we did recently. Does anyone remember this? I actually paid to see this, and it is hysterical. It is so gory and bloody and over the top. I was like bursting out laughing. What I love about it, the girl that's in it, she's completely naked, and she's super hot too. And she's naked in the movie. There's also in this movie zombies. Strongly recommend it. Whoa.
Wasn't it like 3 reviews in one?
That was, of course, Casablanca, my review of Casablanca. No, actually what that was it was a review of Mad Heidi and then just changed it. It's, my God. That was, give it up for Glenuccio. Glenuccio, our intrepid producer, is a master. And I'm a big fan of Glenuccio. So there you go. We're going to wrap up with some more of your comments here, and then we'll pivot to some other topics. But we really, I don't know, we got over 700 people watching. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. We are close to 90,000. We're close to, Alan wants to get, I think it's like 169,000 169,000 is the
69.
goal.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think we need to do something special when we reach 100,069.
Right, 100. We will do a special celebration at 169,000. But more of your comments and questions here. Superman Legacy has to be perfect for DC's future. Says get hyped 249 for 39.99 Zarogla.
Yep.
It's basically from the planet Mixoplex.
If James Gunn craps the bed with Superman Legacy, we're in trouble.
We're in a lot of trouble. More of your comments from the top here. Patrick Lemire, those X-Men movies exist. Thank you.
Yeah, but the thing is, if let's just say they remake the first X-Men movie, it at least shows that they're on the right track. That they show some reverence to the original material, which is, I think, what we need from Disney at this moment.
Yeah. Bill S. Preston, Esquire. I've never loved a man more than I love Alan right now. Wait, is that
you and 100 other men?
What is that real? Like, what? Yeah, I'm looking for a fun video to play about Alan, and so. How would you define exploitation, Alan?
Exploitation? Gratuitous. Gratuitousness.
So it's South African Rand. Thank you for that.
I
All the way from South
English,
Africa. Thank you, Ms. P. Coffee. Castigan says, is that a VHS copy of The Wrath of Khan on Alan's shelf?
It's not only a VHS copy of The Wrath of Khan, it is the widescreen edition.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Lori Ormond says, I think sometimes DC takes itself too seriously. I enjoy my superheroes to be more lighthearted. Well, I think Superman could have been more lighthearted for sure.
Yeah, I think you can have a balance. I think you can have serious tales. You can have more lighthearted tales.
I think we read that one already.
To be what the Guardians of the Galaxy was. Guardians was the lighthearted heroes, and then everyone else was the serious heroes.
Right.
And they
Sam said, instead of remaking good movies, they should remake mediocre movies. Bring back the Meteor Man. Yeah, does anyone else remember Meteor Man? It was one of the first black superheroes, right? At least on screen, on the big screen. So that's why when they say the stuff, it's the very first. Nope, never was. 70s and 80s took care of all the firsts. The problem is a lot of film pundits today don't have a sense of film history. If you're doing a series, don't always peak higher, says Dalben for 2. And The Lost Tales says, 7 months and counting, keep up the good work. Thank you, The Lost Tales. Clownfish TV's Neon suggested that Brad Bird should be doing a superhero movie. That would be Superman movie. That would be great. I'd like to see Brad Bird make a Fantastic Four film. That would have been great.
He already made a Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah, true. Spidey Sensei 72. Do Chris and Alan know about the new Scott Pilgrim animated movie coming to Netflix this fall? Not only do I know about it, I saw the trailer this morning. It looks really good. It's coming in November. My understanding is Edgar Wright is one of the producers, and it looks really good. It's got that energy that sort of takes a little bit from the movie, the Scott Pilgrim movie, which I think is a modern classic, and mixes it with the original cartoon in terms of, original comic book in style. It looks great. I can't wait. Yeah, I know about it. Saw the trailer. Cannot wait. We will review it when it comes out in November.
And we have an interview with Michael Cera coming on the Film Threat interview channel this week.
Oh, I think it's coming out Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Film Threat interview channel. There's a movie we're reviewing on Friday. It's a little small indie movie called Adults. And I interviewed Michael Cera and the director. That is going to be on our interviews channel. Subscribe to the Film Threat interviews channel. I'm going to it's first of all.
Clearly we interviewed him several weeks ago.
Well, it was before a bunch of stuff, but but the our Film Threat interviews channel is blowing up. And I got a comment from someone saying, why don't you promote your Film Threat interviews channel? We have 2 channels in addition to the Film Threat main channel. The Film Threat main channel is for live streams and reviews. That's all we do. Live streams, reviews, and court cases. Okay. Court cases, which, by the way, I'm already getting like graphics and memes for the court case. But someone was complaining on the interviews channel, how come you don't promote it? You don't even talk about it. It's like, yeah, we talk. Here it is. It's like if you go to the Film Threat main channel, you'll see that we link to the interviews channel. So please subscribe to the interviews channel. We appreciate it. It's not updated as often, like 2 or 3 interviews or more a week, but there's a lot of great stuff on there, including interviews that are exclusive to the channel. So please subscribe to it. Subscribe to that interviews channel. And then also, oh my God, I have to share this with you because we're going to announce, I promised I would do this. We are going to announce the date of Critics Court Star Trek on Trial. That is going to be announced when we reach 100,000 subs. We're just over 10,000 subs away. Critics Court Star Trek on Trial, the date for it will be announced, but only after we receive 100,000 subs. We're 10,000 away. So there you go. Wait, is Alan there?
And unlike Paramount, we have William Shatner in our photo.
Yes. Yes. Let me go to your comments. But yeah, Star Trek on Trial. It's coming, folks. I had a meeting with producer Glenn Brown, and we went over like all the stuff we need to make this trial really, like all the things we want to do to improve it based on last time. What can we do graphics wise to make it better? And we're like, yeah, we're going to be doing this. It's going to take us a couple months.
Yeah. And then we got to get those charges down too.
We're going to do a live stream special where you, the jury, our viewers, will decide what are the charges. What are the charges? All right. Our special guest is going to be joining us in about 10 minutes, but I want to wrap up your comments and questions here. I'll stop screen here. Let's go to it. There, from Alan Horkin says, Film Threat talking country music, but is not going to have enough time to talk about Old Boy. We're going to talk about Old Boy on Friday. We're going to talk about Old Boy on Friday. I promise you. Matsuri says, when are we getting a Rebel Moon trailer? Matsuri for 2. I don't know. That was supposed to be a Star Wars movie. And Zack Snyder's like, I'm just going to make it. I'm excited to see that one. Rude Dude Reviews for 5. Ordered and received Attack of the Doc Blu-ray. Arrived last night. Can't wait to check out the special features after work today. Hail, Alan and Frank. Well, Rude Dude, first of all, if you, in fact, do reviews, I hope you review the DVD. Second thing is there's an Easter egg on every menu page. Pop around. There's one Easter egg on every menu page. There's a secret Easter egg menu. Then there's a bunch of Easter eggs on that one menu. So there you go. Thank you, Rude Dude. Appreciate the support. Get Hype 249 for $39.99. Godot seems confused. Hard rebooted. No baggage. I hate to agree. Critics Court 2. I need a raise, says Lord Thoth. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. We just want to get to 100,000 subs. That's our goal here. But we're gonna pivot briefly. We're gonna talk about Old Boy on Friday. We always kind of like get to a point where, yeah, here we go. AI David Bowie starring in Rebel Moon, says Kent Holly. I could see that. I could see that. But let's talk about briefly, Alan, you and I, let me find it. I'm going to pivot here quickly. Where am I pivoting? Wait, where's the pivot? Where's the pivot? The pivot is right. Where is it? We're going to talk about. Oh, I don't have the thing.
What?
I don't have the thing.
No, it's there.
Where?
It's oh, I had it on the other. I was in the wrong thing. I remember typing it out, but
It's all right.
It's in the Film Threat Fridays.
It's all good.
Make sure you spell it right too.
Oh, I know. There were reminders in the movie itself.
Yes.
Just remember, it's not Caroline, it's Coraline. Coraline was re-released. This is the Neil Gaiman story that was directed by Henry Selick. It is a modern stop-motion classic from
Should mention
Leica's.
I think it's Leica's first movie when it transitioned to the new regime.
Right, from Leica is the leftovers of Will Vinton Studio that, of course, created the California Raisins, among other classic. They called it, it was the Claymation Studios,
yeah.
And so that kind of transitioned into Leica was the new company. They're responsible for films that you've seen like Kubo and the Two Strings, and Coraline was their first movie. They also made a film called Paranorman. When this first came out, which was over a decade ago, I loved Coraline. It is not necessarily for young children. It's really scary. I'm a huge fan of stop motion animation. When I was a kid and first started making movies, I made stop motion animated movies. And I made clay animated movies. I was a kid with a Super 8 camera. This re-release of Coraline in 4K, huge success. I went to a 4 p.m. screening at the AMC Burbank 16, and I thought, well, I'm going to be the only person in the theater, packed at 4 p.m. And I noticed there was a lot of people who were young, probably did not see the movie in its original theatrical release, that are now seeing the film. This movie is a cult. It's a classic.
Hey, let me tell you, in Orange County, there were 4 AMCs showing Coraline at 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock. All of them were sold out, so much so that the AMC in Orange had put out, I believe, 10 more screenings of it last night.
It's blown up. It made, in 2 days of release, 2 days, by the way, 2 days of limited release, Coraline grossed, I have the press release here, almost $5 million in its re-release. They've expanded it, so they've added screenings. You can go to fathomevents.com. I just made $4.91 million per screen, average of $3,000 per screen for Coraline. It's a modern classic. And if you're a Neil Gaiman fan, then, if you're a fan of the story, the original story by Neil Gaiman, you got to see it. It hits different. And what's amazing is you've got the mom and the dad and the daughter that's ignored. And she's just bored and she's trying to get the attention of her parents, finds a bizarre sort of somewhat friendship with YB. And she's a bit of a spark plug when she finds this alternate world with a different mom and dad who give her all the attention and love that she's seeking, which is a complete and utter lie. This movie has stood the test of time, which tells me that a lot of modern movies being made today are not going to stand the test of time. And the other films they made on Box Trolls, my daughter's a huge fan of Box Trolls, along with Missing Link. I don't know if people remember that one. But Alan, you saw it with your daughter. What did she think of Coraline?
Yeah, well, actually, my daughter watched Coraline many times when it was on Netflix. And so when she heard that it was coming to the theaters, it was like, okay, Dad, you're taking me. And so I took her. And I had a good time. I'll be honest with you. I'm not exactly sure why I don't resonate with this movie like most people are, and I think I felt the same way with My Neighbor Totoro and like Spirited Away. It's these movies that I'm just not quite resonating with, and so I'm trying to ask her why do you think this movie is so great, and she's having a hard time telling me. I do like stop motion animation, and I will say. I liked the fact that this is a 4K release. It looks brilliant on the screen. And 2, I kind of like the raw nature of this. This is not the cleanest of puppets that I've seen, compared to like Nightmare Before Christmas and even Box Trolls and Kubo. I kind of like the fact that this is not as clean as those. But again, I just, people are now criticizing me. I just don't understand why people think this is such a great movie.
Well, I love it. I think it's a classic. All the aspects of her being a young girl who's ignored by her family after moving from Pontiac, Michigan. Oh, I know Pontiac, Michigan, home of the Pontiac Silverdome, which was the previous home of the Detroit Lions. So growing up in Michigan, there were all these, the dad's wearing a Michigan shirt, U of M.
Yeah, this isn't the Normal World podcast.
Exactly. Yes, I was on Normal World, and we talked quite a bit about Michigan stuff, but really, really just loved it. It is still in re-release, and the 4K looks chef kiss beautiful. A few comments before we get to our special guest today. I want to say thank you to Southeastern Kaiju, has become a YouTube member. Join our Discord. There's a link in the community tab. We post free stuff for members. Talk to us on Discord. I check the Discord at least once a week. My apologies, folks, but I get there once a week. Jump in on the conversation. Lord Shack says, me too, Chris. I loved making stop motion movies back in the day. There you go. Thank you from Lord Shax from Rumble. And the Alex Zorba has been a member for 12 months. We've had memberships for 12 months. Thanks for a great year, boys. Keep on rocking. And is it the writing, Alan? Says Joe Bribben. Crazy Cat says Coraline is highly stylized. I love this, the stylized nature of it. It's not Nightmare Before Christmas. It's not things that have come before it. It is very different style. And there's even different style between the two worlds. And I love that it's kind of like there's a scene with the two circus ladies, the older ladies, and one has very large breasts and is scantily clad. And I can just tell you there's a person that I know who really liked that scene.
What can I get for you, sir?
A boob. At least one.
Great choice.
Alan, what is this with you talking about boobs here? But there you go. I agree with Alan on this. Dude says, dude. Well, there you go, dude. Thank you. Well, thank you for all your comments and questions. Coraline, go check it out. It is in theaters now, and probably not for long, because it's one of those Fathom events type of films.
I believe it's coming back on the 28th, and that's the last one.
Just go to fathomevents.com and check it. I got tickets to see American Graffiti. It's I believe it's the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, and I think they're showing Enter the Dragon tonight.
Enter the Dragon on 4K. Go check it out. Oh, we talked about it. We'll talk about it more. Friday, we're going to get to all of our movie reviews. Today is like topics and fun stuff, and we appreciate almost 700 of you watching live right now. But let's talk about this. Let's talk to American Homeboy director Brandon Loran Maxwell is joining us on the show.
How you doing?
Brandon, hey, man, thank you. Oh, wow, you've got a great setup. Check that out,
Look at
man.
that. Oh, my gosh.
First of all, look at that. You got the LA hat. I want to say congratulations to you. I learned about your movie from Paulie. Love Paulie from Latino Slant.
Sure.
Told me all about your film. Showed me the trailer. I have not seen the film, I'll admit, but it looks epic in scale. All about Latino culture in Los Angeles, how it's evolved, changed, kind of where things have come from, all the evolution, the sort of societal evolution of the culture, and it looks fantastic. It's an epic archival documentary. So those are really hard to make.
Yeah.
You had your premiere last week. It's now in theaters.
Correct.
Tell us about the film.
So the film, first of all, I'll dispel the myth that the film is about Los Angeles only. You know, the film really is about the entire United States. It's about the Southwest in particular, but it really is an American story, hence why it's called American Homeboy. But yeah, we draw on a lot of archival footage. I think in the end, I edited that film from about 20 terabytes of footage. So we had about 20 terabytes of archival footage and interview footage that we drew from ultimately to create kind of an hour and a half movie.
And what is it looks very much like I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it feels like it has sort of a real like punk rock You Are There kind of feel. How did you find all this archival footage?
There's a lot of different sources. One area that we drew some of our footage from was from an old cable access show up in San Jose. And what was funny is, some of the footage is online in archives. Some of it hasn't been, but basically it was donated to the city after this cable access station basically went defunct, and the city really hasn't done anything with it. And so, we approached the city and we talked eventually to the filmmaker, and we said, hey, this is some great footage. We'd love to be able to try to help more people see this. And so that was one of the areas where we found footage. We worked with Ford Motor Company and the National Archives. So a lot of people don't realize that like Henry Ford was one of the biggest holders of early American footage in the country, because, Ford was all over the world in the early 20th century. And so he filmed things. He created newsreels for, his internal employees and things like that. So we worked with National Archives to actually get the deeds to some of that footage, and then we used AI to restore it. So, for example, we have some scenes of the Mexican Revolution in our film that we restored using AI and kind of upscaled it from there.
Oh my God. I've seen the upscales of that footage, that documentary by Peter Jackson. I've seen that process.
So good.
From World War I. It's insane how good he'll match frames. I've become obsessed with Paris, France in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
And they see that footage that was made with hand cranked cameras at around 16 or 18 FPS. And then they restore it to 30 FPS.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. Some of that is out of my depth. I wish I had the resources to do as good as Peter Jackson can do with some things. Let It Be, I think it was called too, was really good. And I'm a huge Beatles fan, by the way, so I try not to go off on that tangent. But but we were able to get a hold of some technology that made it possible. And the film looks tremendously better than it did before we had it. And, we worked for about 3 years doing interviews from various people from around the country, people in academia, people in prison, ex-gay members, kind of spread the gamut to tell this story of Zoot Suit and Cholo culture as it kind of developed across 100 years in the United States. And of course, from that, you have a bunch of subcultures that spawn from it, right? Like low riding, tattooing, Cholo culture, all these different things, but they're all intertwined.
Let's see. We have a bunch of comments here from people, comments and questions from people who are watching. But I first have to start with this. Paulie from Latino Slant, my man, this doc is incredible and for all to see. So that's
Paulie has seen it?
Yeah, Paulie went to the premiere, and Paulie's a friend. I just got off the phone with Paulie. I was really cranky when I was on the phone with him, and now I feel bad. But Paulie's a wonderful person. He's been a longtime supporter of what we do over at the Daily Cella. We own this little media company we started, and this is our first main project, was this film. And so Paulie's been there really from the get-go, along with just a handful of other people. And Paulie, of course, and what he does is great. So
he's very much
great having him out.
He's just a great cheerleader for a lot of films and filmmakers, and he's a big supporter. I actually saw we actually showed your trailer at, I think it was WonderCon. We showed we showed the trailer there, and it was just great to see it in front of an audience. It had to be quite an experience to have the premiere. What was that experience like?
The premiere, it couldn't have gone any better. All of this couldn't have gone any better, because you got to remember, we started making this film and we were just going to stream it online. I raised money and I created an app, and then I raised money to make the film, and we're going to stream the film on our own app and just completely cut everybody out.
Oh, wow.
And so that's still kind of the plan, but we didn't expect the trailer to do 3 million views in, the first couple months. And so, we went from that to being in 10 theaters. And so we're kind of playing catch up. Like right now, I can't really meet demand. I'm trying to meet demand. We could probably fill theaters for a week straight in some cities, but it's hard when you're an independent business and trying to work those deals with those theaters. But we've been able to get into about 10 cities, and we've got a huge event coming up at the California Automotive Museum. It's a 4-hour event. So they're going to screen the film in there. And we have an 800-seat theater in Gardena that's coming up. We have San Francisco, Chicago, Tucson, Albuquerque, Portland is tomorrow. And I think one of the things that's cool about this film is that, another thing I didn't expect was that so many people outside of the Mexican American community would like it. That's obviously our kind of demographic and our audience. But, in Portland, half the theater is white. And they've been happy, ecstatic to go see it. And we've had conservatives who've seen it who end up liking it. We've had progressives who've seen it who end up liking it. It doesn't mean you always agree with everything in it, but I think ultimately, a lot of people kind of walk away and they learn something new while realizing I wasn't necessarily pushing an agenda or trying to put stuff in people's face. It's kind of an ode to a culture that I love.
Let me tell you why your movie's great. I recently saw a movie. It was Asian Americans. It was about Asian American cinema. And it basically was a 2-hour movie about white oppression. What I liked about your movie was that you're just telling the history. You're presenting the facts. Yes, white people don't always come out so well in this one because those were facts. That was history. But by the end of the movie, your story is one of pride and inspiration. It's the birth of a culture that the entire community has taken pride in, and it just by the end of it, you can't help but sense the positivity and the good feelings that comes at the end of it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And, obviously there are some hard conversations we have at times in the film, when you talk about Zoot Suiters being rounded up during World War II, just because of what they were wearing, things like that, Vietnam, those are all things that really happened. And I think it's okay to talk about history in those contexts. I think one of the problems we have in our society today is that people don't always have good faith conversations. It's one thing to talk about history in the context of having a better future. It's another to talk about history in the context of you just want to tear everything down, and there's no real good faith there. And there's sometimes some alternative motives and agendas behind those conversations. So, I wanted to make a film that was honest and a film that, everybody can enjoy, and a film that informed people first and foremost, because I feel like a lot of people have seen aspects of this culture, but they don't know where it came from. They don't know much about it, right? They've seen lowriders, maybe they've seen the black and gray tattoos, maybe they've seen the fashion, but they just don't know much about how it came to be. And this is part of the reason why that subculture embraces it so much, because a lot of them do know that history. So
we have a lot of questions.
Yeah, sure.
From our chat, because got, a lot of people, hundreds of people watching here. So let's get to it. Lord Thaw says, welcome aboard, Brandon. And then Dennis Wright, innocent question. What's a homeboy?
Well, a homeboy is it's a term of endearment in a lot of ways, right? Like, that's my friend, that's my homeboy. That's somebody who's, it could be from the neighborhood, or it can be just a close friend. But it's a term of endearment. Generally, when you say homeboy in a Mexican-American context, we're talking about either a close friend, or we're talking about somebody who's a part of one of those subcultures. So it could be lowriding, or it could be cholo culture, the arts or something like that. So kind of one of those lanes within that broader subculture, cool. which is Chicano culture, really.
Greasy Guido asks, I only know Texas cholo culture. Is it similar to California?
I think Texas is pretty different. I think you start to see a lot of some changes once you get to Texas. Like, Texas kind of does its own thing. Although Texas was really important during the creation of this subculture, because a lot of this came through El Paso. That was kind of the big opening. We talk a little bit about this in the film, where you had an influx of people coming here after the Mexican Revolution through El Paso, and then they migrated over to LA in many circumstances as these subcultures began to develop, particularly when we're talking about Zoot Suiters, Zoot Suit culture. So that's really big in El Paso. But ultimately, Texas has aspects of it, but it does things on its own too.
Latino Slant Paulie says, Chris Gore is my homeboy. I'll take that. And then question, hey, it's me and HD. I'm hoping I can find a showing in Houston.
Yeah, we get so many requests from Houston. I've tried so hard with Texas. What I'm trying to do is find an independent theater in Texas. We have to find independent theaters that aren't beholden to the big studios who can play an independent film. I guarantee we'll sell out wherever we play in Texas, but I have to find a theater in Texas. So I'm working on it. It's on our radar, but I haven't been able to find one in Texas yet.
And then, hey. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Hey, it's me and HD says cholo culture and punk rock are like PB&J.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because when I was growing up, I knew a lot of cholos, I knew a lot of punk rockers, and I liked a lot of punk rock music. I listened to Bad Brains and stuff as a youth, and And so, yeah, I think there's definitely some similar feelings of feeling like outcast at times, and then being very confident with who you are. And so, yeah, I see some similarities there. And I think in LA, especially, you see some crossover. You can go to punk rock shows in LA and see cholos there.
That's what I noticed, because I was always into punk rock coming from Detroit, and then came to LA, and there was definitely crossover.
Yeah, because it's big enough, because 10
Yeah.
million people, 8 million people in that city. So there's enough to have a variety of people who have just different stuff that they like. I had a lot of homeboys. I mean, like I said earlier, I listened to the Beatles. I love the Beatles. Even when I was driving my lowrider and all banged out, I was still listening to the Beatles and my homeboys and Black Sabbath and all that. So
here's a question from Greasy Guido. Best Beatle, John, Paul, or George? Don't you dare say Ringo.
Well, they're all a little bit different, right? I mean, they all brought something different. You saw that after they split up, who influenced what. But I mean, Paul was kind of the melodic one. John was great with the lyrics, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds and all those. And then George was kind of the spiritual one. But Ringo was good at tempo. And so that was his strong point. But yeah, I like them all. They made some great records.
Yeah. Hey, here you go. Raylo Normie says, I can't imagine my growing up in Texas without Mexican American culture. It's such a big part of our lives, especially in the western section of Texas. I'm so glad to see this. Another one, the Nerd Far Away says, Hail, Mr. Maxwell. What is your favorite genre when it comes to film?
Yeah, see, I love talking film. I like these kind of questions. Wow, probably my favorite genre is going to be dramas or documentaries. I love Werner Herzog. I like films like what's his name, who made A Thin Blue Line? Errol
Morris.
Errol Morris.
Yeah.
So he's done some good ones. One of my favorite films is Sherman's March. You ever seen that film?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's a classic.
Really
so I like those obscure kind of documentaries. I love dramas. And I like comedies. I'm actually not a huge fan of action movies, and I'm not a huge comic book fan either. But that's not to say that I'm not on that whole I hate comic book movies things. There's some good comic book movies. I'm just not into action movies in general.
Gotcha.
Hey, our chat is trying to book your movie. Have you talked to the Frida Cinema yet?
The Frida Cinema, is that in Texas?
No, that's in Santa Ana. That's in Santa Ana.
Oh, okay. I'll take notes here and I'll follow up.
Yes, I think that Frida will do it. And then in Texas, I was at the Texas Theater, which is the theater they caught Lee Harvey Oswald.
Oh, nice.
They are very much an indie film theater, and I think they would.
What are they called?
It's the Texas Theater in Dallas.
Okay, I'll follow up.
Draft House Films. They release them in all their theaters.
Okay.
The chain Draft House. But yeah, the Frida Cinema talked to a guy named Trevor Dillon.
Okay. Sure.
After this, message me after this. I'll give you his contact info.
Okay. Yeah.
Santa Ana is the perfect place for your movie.
It's crazy because we're selling out theaters, and I mean, the amount of messages and emails that we get from people that want to see it. It's a unique film. Like I can't think of one that's like it. But I mean, I think just because of the amount of archival footage and stuff that we have, and we got our first Rotten Tomatoes review from you, which has been good. And we've had other people who have talked about online and how they really thought the film was pretty good. So
look, the one thing for me is it's informative. I mean, I legitimately learned a lot that I had never known. And I was born in South Central, and I spent a lot of my adulthood in East LA. And this is stuff I never knew about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, we have a lot of questions in the chat.
Yeah, sure.
So, here we go. William Sleeper for 499. Brandon, is it bad that most of my knowledge of Chicano culture is Cheech Marin and George Lopez? What's wrong with that?
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I saw in first run in the 70s, Cheech and Chong.
Who doesn't like Cheech?
Yeah,
that movie is one of the greatest. Okay, forget that Chicano culture. It's one of the greatest comedies of all time.
Yeah,
it is that duo, and the final scene where they're rocking out it's just crazy. And we used to listen to Cheech and Chong, the album. It was one of those. Remember when comedy was like dangerous? We get the album. I'm probably a little older than you, but I remember when we would get that album and the Steve Martin album and just laugh our asses off.
Yeah,
at that stuff is just epic.
Sure, and I like Steve Martin too. I always think of Cheech for some reason. I always think of Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
Got those two different parts that he plays in that film.
Yeah. Matthew Hammond for $4.99 asks, can you discuss how you used AI and was it difficult to use?
Yeah, no, I don't think it was difficult, but it can be time consuming. And you have to dial it in to figure out what works for whatever footage you're putting through. And if you're upscaling footage, then you essentially need to add more pixels. And so, if you're taking something that was, really shot in the early 1900s to get it to 1080 or 1998 in terms of size, 2K or 4K, you have to add a lot of pixels. And so that's what AI does, kind of filling in those pixels so you can upscale it. Some of this old footage is missing stuff to begin with, so you can fill in those as well. But there's a lot of different types of, AI technology that can help fix old footage. So it's just kind of about finding which one works. Most of the programs have multiple things that you can use. But, I recommend it for just home videos as well. If you have some videos you shot, in the 90s and you just want to digitize them and make them look better, there's some good programs out there. Topaz I like a lot.
We used paper from Big Bamboo, says Pilgrim Media for $2. Thank you for that. And then here's interesting quote from you, from $8.24 from Rumble. Quote, speech should be the last thing anyone concedes and the first thing that everyone defends, regardless of who it offends. That's a quote from you, Brandon.
Yeah, my politics always find their way into my interviews, no matter what.
What's wrong with that?
I've noticed nothing wrong with that.
This is not controversial at all. That's
yeah,
I love it.
I'm a very big free speech guy, so people can take that and love it or hate it. It doesn't make a difference to me. I think speech is extremely important. And, this film, I think shows you why speech is important too. You never would have had a Chicano movement without the ability to express yourself, right? The civil rights era was entirely steeped in the First Amendment, right? And so I think, the First Amendment is important because it allows us to criticize. It allows us to satirize. It allows us to, express ourselves and things like that and have disagreements. And that's how we get through these problems, by having these discussions. So, yeah, I'm a big proponent of speech, and I think at times in our society, people have the tendency to shut off different points of view more than they should.
We've got questions.
This is a big part of your film too. So.
Yeah.
Joel Carver has a comment, says true stories are about true events and people are apolitical. We're all multi-layered individuals. I'm going to check your doc out. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And by the way, one of the things that we do in this film is show different walks of life within this culture, within this subculture, because there is a lot of different personalities and perspectives within this subculture. I think sometimes media and academia, they have the tendency to push it one way or the other. But in the streets, when you're actually around these people, and you like, I know because I grew up with it. There's a lot of different personalities and perspectives, just like any other part of life. Right. So, I really tried to show that in this film so people could see how rich it is.
Just a question here from Patrick Burt. Will it be showing in Canada or only the US? Otherwise, will it be streaming?
Yeah, only the US for now. And yeah, we're going to stream it on our app next month, Daily Chela TV, on September 14th. Probably long term, we'll look to place it somewhere with a bigger type of distributor that can help us get it to where more people can see it. But it just kind of depends on what that looks like and what it entails. I'm very careful about just selling off it as a property. Mm-hmm. We have been approached by streamers and stuff, but I think that you're better in control of your destiny when you control your own IP, as long as you try and hold it. I like that Terry Perry model.
I'm a fan of that. I like I made a deal with a company called Indie Rights. It's for 3 years, but it got us on all these other platforms that wouldn't be easy to get on. The other company, aside from Indie Rights, you can Google it, is Film Hub. That'll help you or you can do what you did and build your own platform. I saw your interview with Paulie. It was really, I learned quite a bit. Another comment here from, hey, it's me in HD for $1.99. Brandon, you're a real one. For the Bad Brains mentioned.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Paul Banks says, what's your favorite TV series?
I don't watch a lot of TV series. The last series that I really liked that I watched was Breaking Bad. Maybe that's cliche to watch or to say, but it was such a good series. And it was good because the writing was good. The music was good. The acting was good. The plot was good. It's like all of those points just happened to hit with that series. So it was a great series, but I really haven't watched the series since then.
Cool. And then, what do you think of Westerns?
I just watched 310 to Yuma the other day, which believe it or not I had not seen. I love that. That's a great film. I'm not I don't traditionally watch a lot of Westerns, but I like 310 to Yuma. I liked, what was that Coen Brothers remake that they just did with the horse, True Grit. I thought that was a great remake, but the Coen Brothers are good at everything they do. So
yeah. Solomon Thornton asks, any advice for beginning filmmakers? I love history and can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I think my advice, it's weird, even calling myself a filmmaker, but I guess if I made a film and it's in the theaters, that makes me a filmmaker to some extent. I actually dropped out of high school. I got kicked out of 2 high schools, and then I dropped out of high school, and then I got talked to going back. And that was where I really kind of took my first film class. So I've always loved film, even though I became a writer. And so this was kind of going back to one of my loves next to theater to make this film. What I learned is that if you wait for somebody to give you permission or to say yes, you'll be waiting forever. You just have to go forward and do the best you can with the resources you're able to come up with. I would also say that communication is an underrated skill set in getting anything done. It's, being approachable and being able to communicate your ideas clearly and being friendly with people can go a long ways. I mean, sometimes you get help along the way from people you didn't think you would. So I'm not saying you can't disagree with people. I talk politics all day long, but I don't tear into people and take personal shots at people. And so I'm able to maintain a lot of friendships across the political aisle. And so you'd be surprised on who you run into sometimes in your journey of making a film. I mean, eventually you're gonna have to work with actors and all types of different people. So I think communication is really important, but I think the most important thing is, doing something that you love and then not waiting for permission. Because I'd still be waiting to get this done if I had waited.
100%. That's Mark Duplass has a quote about that where he says, the cavalry isn't coming.
Yeah.
No one's going to come and save you. You got to save yourself and whatnot. So just a few more questions before we wrap up.
Sure.
Real quick. Favorite actor or actress?
Oh, I really like, who was it in Phantom Thread? What's his name in Phantom Thread? And There Will Be Blood.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly. I can see the face.
I don't know why the
Alan's
name is
not here to tell me who it is.
I'm a huge fan of him, even though I can't think of his name right now. So maybe somebody can say in the comments, but There Will Be Blood. I like him as an actor a lot.
Yeah. Well, he won an Oscar.
Yeah.
I'm like picturing, oh my God, this is
I know.
This is when I know I need to eat something. Another question here. If you could collaborate with someone, who would it be and why?
Probably Werner Herzog. I really like Werner Herzog. I like Werner Herzog because he's a go-getter. He'll throw himself right into the mix and let the chips fall where they're going to fall. And that's kind of how I am. And so I think Werner Herzog's a real one. And by the way, I mean, he ate a shoe because he lost a bet. I don't know if you've seen that video on YouTube. He made that bet. He said he'd eat a shoe if he lost it. So he lost that bet. So he went in front of a college campus and filmed himself boiling and eating a shoe. Daniel Day-Lewis, that's it.
There you go.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
The chat is always right. And a final comment here. Would reaching out to museums and art galleries as a potential location to view the film be a possibility?
Yeah, I mean, financially, if we can make it work, it is. I mean, we just did a deal with the California Automobile Museum in Sacramento, and that's a museum, and they're going to screen it. So they're going to do a special 4-hour event with the movie. So it is if a museum's interested.
Well, Brandon, I want to, first of all, congratulate you for your success and thank you for being on the show today. One final question here from Matthew Hammond. Did you create a behind the scenes showing how you made this movie or a commentary track? Is that coming later?
I am going to do a commentary track. That's a good question. I don't have behind the scenes showing how I made it. I have some behind the scene commentary from the people from interviews that didn't make it into the film, but I wish I had filmed the whole thing, but it was also over the course of 3 years. So I just didn't think about having a camera with me most of the time. But I'm going to do one with the commentary. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, thank you, Matthew Hammond and Brandon. Thank you so much. Go to AmericanHomeboy.com. You can see it on the screen right now, where you can see it in theaters. Sign up to get updates from it. That's how you find out about this film. And I know it'll be in contention. We do, because your movie was reviewed on Film Threat and it's available, your film will be in contention for our award show. Award this. We do
Next
an indie
year.
film next year. Yeah, not this year, but next year. It'll be eligible. I think there's a pretty good chance it'll get nominated, just based on a lot of the stuff I see and the quality of work. So, and this is one of the hardest types of documentaries to make. Is an archival documentary is so difficult. Having made one myself, it took you 3 years.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of loopholes you got to jump through, or loops with licensing and everything, so yeah, but I didn't know that going in, so it's probably better that way.
I mean, I'll just say the editing you did, I emailed you about it yesterday, but it must have been insane because it's so packed and dense, but it makes me never want to make a documentary.
Well, thank you. I edited that in 90 days, and a union editor wanted 9 months for that 20 terabytes. And we were already booked in theaters before I edited the movie. All I had was footage.
Wow.
We got booked into theaters off the trailer. And so I sat down and I did 90 days straight editing. I worked my day job, and I'd go to the office at 9 p.m. after the family went to bed, and I edited till 2 a.m. And so I took my first day off in March, and that felt really good. But yeah, and my air conditioner was broke, so it was like 103 degrees in my office. So it was quite the journey.
Cool. Brandon, thank you so much. Keep us up to date with the film. We can always, this is what we do. A lot of filmmakers, I have to tell them this. Maybe we should advertise it more. But like, if your movie plays again, we can put it back on the front page of Film Threat and let people know, like, now screening here or doing this. Okay. So, or when it goes to, inevitably, I hope it gets on some streaming service or your own streaming service. Like, we'll make sure that's in the review, right? It'll be in the review, Alan. The website. I'm sure it is. Alan knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I don't need to talk. So
we coordinate these things. We're here to promote indie
Okay,
film.
Good. All right. I'll stay out of the conversation.
That's why we exist. That's why we're here.
Yeah, exactly. So Brandon, thank you so much. I'm sure we'll meet someday in person because Paulie has some gatherings. Love, he's just introduced me to so many quality people and just people doing like amazing work. And I'm proud to call Paulie my friend, and anyone's a friend of Paulie's is a friend of mine. So thank you for coming on the show and supporting,
Thanks for having me.
Supporting independent film, and congrats on the movie.
Thank you. I'll talk to you guys again.
All right. Take care, Brandon.
All right.
Appreciate it. All right. Later. Thank you. Well, that's, we're going to wrap it up for today. Say goodbye to everyone here. Wait,
Oops.
were we? Sorry, Brandon. I'm sorry. We're trying to figure things out here. But I just want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you to Ms. P Coffee. Want to say thank you to our mods. I had a thing here. I had a banner. It's under the comment.
Pretty sure Lord Thoth was on there.
Wait, Alan Horkin had a comment here real quick. Alan Ng from Let Me Tell You Why I Love Your Movie Too. You make me never want to make a documentary.
Yeah. I love watching movies. I don't want to make a movie, let alone a documentary. You know what it's like to go through archival footage and try to figure out how to, it's a puzzle. It's a puzzle that has to be placed perfectly. And I just don't have the patience nor talent for that.
But Alan, do you love Refrigerator?
I love Refrigerator.
That's getting clipped. That's getting clipped. All right. I want to thank Ms. P Coffee. Always fun hanging out with her in the afternoon. I want to thank our mods, Lord Thoth, Latino Slant, Mexican Iron Man. Thank you so much. And want to thank you, our audience. We're spiraling in on 90,000. Hopefully we get to 100,000 before the end of the year. It means that what we're doing here resonates with people. It's not just about, talking about the latest movies and reviewing them. We want to bring you the filmmakers making movies that are worth your time. We're going to talk about so much on Friday. Friday's already a super packed show. I've got a list of all the movies we're discussing. It's going to be big. But join us on Friday for the Friday Film Threat livecast. And just thank you to everyone. I look forward to doing this. Like every time we do this, I look forward to talking to you, Alan. I look forward to talking to everyone in the chat. And I'm going to see a movie tonight. You know what movie I'm seeing?
Actually, I will probably be there too.
You're not going to be at my theater at the AMC Burbank. I'm seeing
Okay,
Strays.
no, yeah.
I'm seeing Strays, and we'll talk about it on Friday along with Blue Beetle, other indie movies opening in theaters. And thank you for spending your afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. Alan?
Yes. Hey, keep going to the Film Threat website. We are reviewing a whole lot of films. Holly Shorts is going on right now, and CineQuest in San Francisco or San Jose is going on right now. And yeah, filmthreat.com.
All right. Let's
get out of here.